If you want to master your street skills, this is the one thing you need to master. So today I like to talk about how to master your street skills. It's an ongoing process for most of us where we have to go out on the streets and practice. And over the years, I mastered a few street skills that I want to share with you today. So this is going to be a practical guide where you can pick and choose whatever works for you. Let's get into it. The first thing you need to master is to go out on photo walks alone. And that can be very intimidating, especially if you are a beginner photographer and just starting out with street photography. Personally, for myself, I was very dependent on going out with a friend when I was a beginner. We had a nice ping pong where we could, lean on each other. We had a lot of good talks. But basically, I realized that I wasn't growing and learning as much as I should. Also, not putting in the work myself because I was so dependent on getting the advice from my friend. It took me longer to understand basic things. So at one point, I decided that I want to go out and try street photography on my own. And I've never gone back ever since. It's perfectly fine to go out with a good friend once in a while because it gives another kind of dynamic, where you're with somebody else. You can kind of feed off each other's creativity or be inspired by how they're doing things, and you can pick up a few things. But I would argue that going out alone on photo walks is better for your growth and development as a street photographer in the long run. Another reason why I like to go out on photo walks alone is that it's a good way for me to decompress after a busy day at work. And this is my passion in going out taking photos. This is my hobby. And I feel like when I'm doing it that I am actually putting my time and energy that is giving me personally value and also being able to be happy about something. And sometimes it's the small things, whether I'm going out dead of night or during the day to take photos. And my day is really especially complete if I come home with great photos. Up next is go to a new area, and if you already re-explored a familiar area to death and you cannot come up with any more fresh angles or perspectives, it's time to move on to a new area. And in order for us to continuously grow and evolve as street photographer, we have to go to a new area once in a while. Going to a new area can also help you get out of your comfort zone. Most of us, we are creatures of habit and we like to stay within our comfort zone. And by going to a new area, you can really get out of your comfort zone. You can challenge yourself by going to a new place and really explore what that new place has to offer. And you have to use your imagination, you have to use your creativity to really see the different compositions and what the potential is for that location. As they also say, you learn the most when you're out of your comfort zone. So this is also what applies here. Going to a new area can really expand your horizons in terms of street photography and also help you master your street skills because you are able to grow and learn from going to a new place and seeing things differently than you're used to. So for me, going to a new place is really exciting. And what I do sometimes is that I scout out the location beforehand, that it helps me, understand what kind of photos that I can make at that specific location. It helps me understand what kind of focal length that I want to use and what kind of camera body, what kind of style do I want for my photographs. So exploring new areas is always welcome. I really like it. And combine that with going to a familiar area and re-exploring it. It's a really good way for me to being creative and also have that inspiration for the next time I'm going out. Limit the number of locations on one photo walk session. So this is really important to have only a few locations that you visit on one photo walk per day. And if you have more than 3 locations on one photo walk, what can happen is that you can tend to rush through things. And what happens when you rush through things is that you don't see the details, you don't see the scene for whatever potential it might have. To slow down and observe. And normally what I do is that I apply the fishing technique, and I also talked about it on the channel before, is that I slow down, I watch a scene, I stand in a corner, sometimes for 10 minutes, just seeing what's happening, seeing the movement, and really seeing the potential of that scene. And I've had so much experience now that I can sometimes, just by standing, I can compose a photo in my head and say, okay, I want that kind of composition, and I just wait for the perfect subject to walk by or walk into my scene that I already set up. It also comes with experience that you can see what kind of photos you intend to make. So if you're rushing through things, you might lose that potential of that location and you might feel demotivated because you rush through 3 to 5 locations in one photo walk session and you didn't come up with any single good photograph. So do yourself a favor, limit the amount of a location on a photo walk. So a photo walk doesn't have to be 4 or 5 hours. It can be 1 hour. Sometimes put a timer on and say, okay, I want to go for a photo walk for no more than an hour, sometimes 1 hour and a half. And then I have maybe 1 or 2 locations that I want to go to, or maybe a larger area that I can walk around. So that way I don't chase photographs all over town or at multiple locations, because there will be another day and another photo walk session. Plan your photo walks. So basically the importance of planning your photo walks. What I normally do is that I plan it and I put it in my diary, in my calendar. So I have an appointment of that photo walk. So it's maybe once a week or twice a week. And I have to do it. I have to stick with it like any other appointment. Like if that was a work appointment, you will probably stick to it. So I try to treat it the same way and give it the same importance. And that way I also remember to do street photography, because street photography is all about getting out there and getting practice. So that way it's really easy for me to say, oh, okay, I planned a time slot of maximum 2 hours and I need to go here in that day. And I'll try to schedule the rest of the day around my photo walk. And that way I don't have a guilty conscience end of the day because I was too lazy or I didn't want to go. So planning and executing your photo walks is essential also to mastering your street skills. A great thing about planning my photo walks is that I often know what kind of street photography I want to do. I've probably already scouted out a location or a location that I want to go to. I also probably know what kind of gear I want to use for the day. So basically sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I would say, okay, I really like to go out with my 55 because it's been such a long time since I used it, or 85, or whatever lens you have. Or maybe it's a Fuji kind of day, so basically it's a fixed lens, so I don't have any choice, I just go out. But often I like to have that option of kind of pre-planning a little bit. That I mentioned before is scouting out the location. This is something I don't do often, but sometimes I do it. If I'm in the neighborhood of the location that I'm going to, I will scout out for maybe 10 minutes and just going around seeing what I can come up with. And then I will come home and maybe determine on the day of the photo walk what kind of photography I want to do. And yes, it sounds like a lot of thought that goes into it, but it isn't. I think it comes with experience when you can kind of pre-plan it a little bit. So if you are a beginner and you're struggling with just getting out there, just focus on having a time slot where you go out and do your regular street photography or a photo walk. That is the most important thing in the beginning. Keep your camera ready and have your settings dialed in. So this is such a rookie mistake that I've done so many times, is that I didn't have my camera ready and I missed so many shots, what could have been great shots, I believe. What I mean here is that this is the Fuji X100V, and when I'm out shooting with this, I have my, the leather strap. I can put it around my wrist or on my arm, and I keep it like this, so I'm ready to take a photo. But a couple of years ago, maybe last year, I used to have my camera on the side, and I had my Sony A7C and I had my Peak Design strap on and my camera was dangling on the side, and I would see something and then I had to reach for it and bring it up and focus and take a shot. And by then the shot was completely gone and I missed it, and it happened a few times and I was really, really upset about it. So now I try to have my camera and walk around like this. I have the LCD screen. I have it like this, so basically I can look down and have it on hip level, which is also something I'm starting to do more and more with the Fuji X100V. It's a bit more difficult with the Sony A7C because it's a typical flip out, so it goes that way. And I learned it the hard way. Always have your settings dialed in before or just when you're starting your photo walk. And they can change, as you go through your photo walk, but the basics should be in order. If you want to master your street skills, this is the one thing you need to master, is to keep your camera ready, your settings dialed in. That is my best tip for you. Final thoughts to wrap up this video. So the only way you can master any skill set is to go out and practice, and especially in street photography, it's so important that you go out on the streets and practice. I hope you found some inspiration in these tips that I gave you. I learned some of them the hard way, so I hope that you can draw some inspiration from that. All right, take care. See you in the next one.